So, welcome to Mark My Words, the regular podcast from Make Your Mark UK, where we interview interesting guests about their experiences of working in a business or a charity. So, today I'm really pleased to warmly welcome Laura from our current charity of the year, Mums in Need. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you very much. Hello, Mark.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Good. I'm really grateful for your time because I know you're a very busy bee sort of running the charity. So can you tell us a bit about who you are and what you do, if that's okay?
Yeah, sure. So, as you said, I'm Laura Reilly, the founder of Mums in Need, which is a domestic abuse charitable organisation set up by myself, which supports mums that have left abusive relationships. So we support them long term in the community. My background is I've worked in hospitality for quite a few years, and then I became a mental health nurse in 2005. Did that for about 12 years, then did a bit of bank CQC healthcare regulation work, and then built Mums in Need.
So when did Mums in Need start?
So it started I built the website in 2013. And then got it registered as a non-registered charity, a non-registered charitable organisation in 2014. And then it became a registered charity in 2018, Valentine's Day 2018.
Brilliant. So what brought you to setting the charity up, if you don't mind me asking?
No. Yeah, it's I think quite often when people ask this question, it's like sometimes do they know the answer already? Because it's like, why would you do something like that? It's quite a yeah. So I started working on Mums in Need because I was in an abusive relationship, and when I left the relationship, I didn't know where to turn. There wasn't really any support. I was struggling to know what the kind of issues were, because when we say domestic abuse, that's quite a blanket sort of term. It's more the financial control, the coercive control, like controlling behaviour. It was more that it wasn't physical. So, and it wasn't really that the word coercive control didn't really even exist then. People were just getting their head around domestic abuse. And so because there were no support services available, I decided to set up my own little support group and created some surveys to initially find out if there were any other sort of women and mums in the same situation as me. And I was quite surprised to find out that there were hundreds of thousands of women that were in my situation. So obviously realizing that I wasn't alone was fantastic, and that there was actually a need for such a service. And so I think that at the time I didn't know that Mums in Need was going to be Mums in Need registered charity. I knew that I wanted to do something to be able to share my experience to help others that have been through the same as me. So it was a sort of gradual build, really. As I say, it was just a support group, and I began supporting mums online. So basically, I would finish I was working at a dementia unit at the time. So I'd finish my shift at the hospital, come back home, jump on my computer, and respond to all the messages and the comments on the group. And I did that for 2 years, between 2014 and 2016. Then I had a break for 6 months. And then in 2016, I got an email from, I suppose, the sort of mentor that I had at the time, really a mentor, good friend, who said there's some free space for small community organisational groups. So I responded to this email, and ended up going to have a look around this place. And that's when we had our first free space. So that's when we started supporting women face to face as opposed to online.
Mm-hmm. Wow, quite a journey.
Yeah, I've been.
And did you ever imagine it would develop so quickly and so turn into something so big?
No, I don't think I. No, No, I don't think I did. I don't really think I knew what I was completely doing, if I'm honest. It was just, I felt like this was what I really wanted to do. And I've learned a huge amount of skills along the way. It has just been like, what do I need to do? What are the next steps? Okay, so do I get this registered? Do I, does this become a social enterprise? Does this become a what do we do? And I spoke to different people and looked on Google and looked at all the different options. And the best thing for what we do seemed to be going down the charity route, because obviously the services, you know, people come to you for help and they're in a desperate state. And quite often there's not a lot of money floating around and they need that help. So we need to be able to provide that support. So the service is free. So the charity route seemed to be the best route to go down. Although that was quite difficult. Because you do need, obviously it was again a completely new thing, coming from, you know, being a nurse to running a charity and setting up these things. It's just, you know, quite a few hurdles along the way, but we did it. You know, we didn't get it first time around, but I know that that's quite common. But you know, we filled out all the policies you needed to do, proved what we needed to do, and then they told us where the gaps were, and then we just submitted more information, and then eventually got it.
Wow.
So I suppose effectively we're acting quite a lot like a registered charity in the way we were operating. We already had a team of volunteers, already had a board of trustees, already had a space. We already had a gift aid number. So we were very much acting like a charity before we became registered. But now obviously we're official now. So.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier sort of domestic abuse, domestic violence is such a broad term, and also there's so much to it, if that makes sense. So, you know, what would you say to people that maybe don't quite understand it or haven't had any direct or indirect experience? And what's often thrown up is that, well, why don't people just leave? Or if that was me, you know, first sign of trouble, I'd be out, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's I think for the women that we support, it is quite although there has been elements of physical abuse, but you know, that's not really the worst part. It's those internal scars, it's that control. And I think that when you're in that, you know, particularly if that's the experience you've had, you don't really realize that actually you're being abused. So you don't know that you need to leave because you don't really know what's happening. It's just all, it's not you get into a relationship and it's like that from the start. It's a very gradual sort of insidious drip. So you don't, it's not something, you know, it takes quite a long time to work out. So that's why the women don't leave. Because they don't, like, as I said, when it was happening to me, I didn't even know it was happening. It wasn't until kind of later that I became aware that actually this is what's going on. Because people will say, well, you know, it's not like he's hit you, so, you know, he's not, so and so there's still quite a lot of that there. So because it's not an obvious, it's not a scar. You can't just walk down to the police station and go, I've been hit or I've been attacked. There isn't that evidence. So yeah, I think it's, you know, and also for you know, in terms of, you know, other types of abuse, like, you know, the more physical side of it, I think it's quite difficult because that may be all you've known in your life. That may be, you know, that's what's familiar to you. You may have you know, children, they may have the financial control. You may feel like if you leave, then you're not going to be able to make it financially, you're not going to be able to support them. So there's lots of different reasons why people don't leave the relationships.
So it sounds like there's something about how do you kind of educate sort of individuals to know kind of what's a healthy and an unhealthy relationship, and what's normal and what's unnormal, if that makes sense. But also a kind of educating society and a policy piece as well.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things we've been talking about for a long time is to be able to get out and get into schools and be able to go round and just talk to them about the kind of relationships and what's healthy, what's not healthy. We also we've wasn't us actually, it's a different organisation called Together Equal, and they've developed some equality and diversity playing cards for children, for sort of end of year primary school children. But I think it's, you know, it's across the board, to be honest. You could create the same cards for adults. I think it would be really, really very useful. You might need to tweak them a little bit, and those cards would work really well with the message that you would send out. So if for example, I was unable to go and do a presentation like at at the schools, you could use these cards as a bit of a tool, as a bit of a prompt, because they're very visual and they're very good, and I think that would really help to get the message across. But yeah, definitely education, more understanding needs to be done from an early age, because it would prevent a lot of the situations that they find themselves in. Because once you're in that situation, and once you try to get out, once you've left the relationship, it's quite difficult. You get caught in the family court system. You kind of, there isn't really much way out. So if you can avoid that in the first place, you won't get caught up in systems upon systems and struggle that way.
So tell us a bit more about how you help mums and women and their children sort of once they've escaped those situations.
So the mums will come to us via quite often social media platforms, or through our website, through our inquiries line. Sometimes we'll get referrals from social workers, occasionally GPs, health visitors, a range of different, sometimes employers, and they basically will send us an email. We will then send them a pre-screening form. So they will complete that. So then we invite them to come in for like a consultation, so a sort of screening assessment. So we actually really find out what's happened, and that's where we detect, is this coercive child? Is this what's happening? Are they the right service for us? And then if they are, then they become an active min. We call our mums in need mins, and then we then from that point on develop what sort of support they need. So they might all be at different stages of the breakup. So it may be that they need some additional mental health support with their children, or they might need some mental health support themselves. What do? We support women from as little as 6 months, usually, to about 2, 3, 4 years, long term through that process. So we have a law firm that we work with. So we help the women through the family courts. There's also an opportunity for the children to be represented independently. We've obviously got contacts for those through the law firm that we work with. We also work with a couple of counsellors, so we provide counselling for the mums as well. And each mum is allocated a caseworker, so they have that one-to-one regular support. And then in the early stages, they have that intensive, so every week, every fortnight. And then as they become more familiar with you and they feel more comfortable and more confident, then they're able to manage more on their own. They become more independent as time goes on. The more the more sort of help that they get to start with. We also provide we have a range of different wellbeing sessions that we put on. So we have, at the moment, we've got regular Pilates sessions for the mums, so that's happening twice a week, and that's obviously done on Zoom. Well, all of our sessions will be done on Zoom through lockdown. Sometimes we have yoga classes. We'll have more specialised services as well, so things like how to deal with a narcissist, how to kind of keep yourself emotionally safe. We'll also have mindfulness and well-being sort of sessions, meditation sessions. Again, they're all done on Zoom. Sometimes we have sessions on nutrition and exercise. We have a range of sessions that we have on. We had a session we had a week's course last week where we had sessions on building resilience for the children. So we're trying to do more support with them. And later this year in the summer, we're doing a pilot with Haven, the children's charity for supporting the children with domestic abuse issues. So we're going to be working with them. So hopefully longer term, if this pilot works out okay, we'll work with them on a longer term basis, because it makes sense. We support the mums, they support the kids. We need to be more jointly connected. So
it sounds like lots of variety of support, from practical and advice stuff right the way through to that more emotional health and well-being, resilience building, and I guess kind of, as you said earlier, sort of rebuilding their lives again, I suppose.
Yeah, and having that peer support, we have sessions where all the mums will get together and they can all share their experiences together, with a focus as well, because obviously sometimes you don't want to be sat in a room where they're all talking about how awful their lives are, and then sometimes you can get that negative element. So we'll have that, but there'll be a focus to kind of draw them back. So that, and I think the thing with it which kind of makes us stand out really, is the fact that we've got that lived experience. So we're not just, you know, yeah, we're doing the do. We do know what we're talking about, and we have been there, so we can bring that that real connection, that real understanding with them. So yeah.
Okay, so what's it like running the charity? What's a typical day, week like? What do you like about it? Because you're a very busy bee.
Yes, I think it's interesting actually, because I think sometimes I think, oh gosh, it's so difficult doing all these different roles, because I do, you know, being such a small team, I only have 2 part-time staff. I do a bit of casework, so I support the women directly. I do volunteer coordination. I'll write bids. I'll do administration. I'll do networking. Yeah, there's a lot, but I think I like the variety of it actually. I think I do like the fact that, you know, I get to speak, I get to work with people like you, which is amazing, and I'm a real connector. I like to talk, and I think that I've become more articulate over the years about what it is that we're actually doing. I was quite nervous at the beginning doing all this, because standing up in public was not something that I was used to doing, but I do it several times a week now, these various networking meetings, and I think I really do like that. And each time I try to get a bit more polished about what it is that we actually do, so that people you know, become aware. So yeah, I think I enjoy the networking. I enjoy supporting the women. Not so keen on the kind of administrative side of things, which unfortunately I have to do quite a bit of. But yeah, I love the variety. I feel like I've learned so many skills, and if, you know, if in the future, which I don't think will happen, but if ever it was we weren't to make it financially, you know, sustainable, then I'm sure I would be very employable in the future, because I've got lots of skills through running Mums in Need. But no, that's not going to happen. But yeah, so yeah, I like the variety, Mark.
And thinking about sort of what you know now, what would you tell yourself if you went back a few years when you first started on this? What sort of top advice or top tip would you tell yourself, if anything?
Yeah, I think to have patience, be very patient, because these, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and I think that, you know, it's taken a long time to get the organisation to where it is, and we've still got, you know, a long way to go to be, you know, I mean, ideally, you know, I'd like to have a Mums in Need in, you know, all over the country, different branches over the country, you know, big like Women's Aid, but it's taken me, I realise how long it's taken us to get to where we are now, and I think I've been quite sort of I don't know, frustrated, impatient, you know, why aren't we here now? And I think that you need to kind of go through that. You need to go through all the experiences. You need to, you know, sometimes you need to not get it right the first time. You need to go through these hurdles. And yeah, so I think that would be my advice to me and yourself would be, I would have done things, well, I would have had more knowledge, so I probably would have been able to speed up things a bit more now, knowing what I do now than what I do then. But yeah, having more patience, being gentle with yourself, and keep on keeping on, really. Yeah.
Do you think if you knew what you knew now, it'd put you off?
There has been days where, yeah, it felt like that. But I think, you know, you don't get rewards, you don't get amazing things happen by not working really, really hard, do you? So you have to, you know, yeah, you have to work hard to get things aren't just going to fall on your lap, and you know, you have to work for it. So yeah.
And I think sometimes it's so easy to focus on where you need to go, what else needs to be done, what you're working towards, and kind of forget actually how much you have done, that journey, that growth, but also those individual stories of those people that you've actually helped directly and indirectly.
Absolutely. And I think that's really why I like doing all the different roles and being involved in the casework side of things, because I don't want to be in a situation where I'm so disconnected from actually what we do. I want to always be, you know, have a part in that. You know, it's quite often, isn't it, in works where they're sort of higher up the ladder you get, the less connected you become with actually what's on the shop floor. And I never ever want it to be like that. and it never will be, because I will always I will always make sure I've got my hand in what's going on, and you know, has the situation improved for them? Is it still the same as it was? What's happening? What are the developments? What are the changes? All that kind of thing. So yeah.
Okay, so we've been working together, Mums in Need Mike and Mark's Charity of the Year in 2020, 2021. I don't even know what year we're in now. So how has that helped, if at all? Hopefully it has. How would you say the charity's benefited? What sort of stuff have we done together, would you say?
Well, you've put on quite a few, you get involved in quite a lot of different like networking and training, which you've invited me along to, and that's been really, really helpful. It's helped me to build more connections. You've been doing some training for our board of trustees, and that's, you know, we're quite a new, well, it's a new charity. We know we've got some trustees that have been trustees before, some that haven't, so it's really, really good to have that you know, that support and experience from somebody who's, you know, is very familiar with that, with working with charities and having those skills. So yeah, it's been brilliant. And to be honest, like when we got nominated, it's like there was this talk for quite a long time about charity of the year, and it's like, well, what is that? What does that mean? You know, what is a charity of the year? What do we have to do, and what does that look like? So when we found out that you wanted to be our charity of the year, and you know, it was just amazing. It was like, wow, okay, so this is what a charity of the year is. But I think that it's interesting because it's not like, I think a charity of the year, from what I understand now, is that it can basically be what you make it with that business or organization is working with you. It's like, well, what could be, what do you need? What would be the most beneficial? Where are the gaps? What, you know, and I think it's probably different from charity to charity, isn't it? The kind of support, but yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant. You know, and it's a great sounding board as well. If I like ask about something I'm not quite sure, or what about this policy, what about that policy, you're able to, you know, point us in the right direction. Yeah, I honestly, Mark, I can't thank you enough. It's been absolutely brilliant. You know, I really, really enjoyed this partnership, and don't want it to end.
Bless you, thank you. Got that on tape, all that on tape. It's all good. Brilliant. So if there's people listening to this on the podcast or watching it on YouTube and thinking actually what you've said really resonates with them in terms of wanting to help and support and play their part, what would you say? How could they help? What do you need? How could they do that?
So I think in terms of supporting us as an organisation, you mean, for businesses, I think, so we've recently, well, that's something else actually helped us with our corporate package, which has been fantastic, from your earlier question. And that's really great. So I think that with what I've noticed is that growing, we keep on, new things are coming up all the time, and new initiatives are coming up, new fundraising ideas, and we're adding, you know, it's kind of an ongoing process. But currently at the moment, we have got we've got the 100 Club initiative, which we started 3 months ago, and we had our third draw, which was filmed yesterday, which is going to go online today, so people can get involved in that, and that businesses or individuals, and that's £2 a ticket. 50% of the money goes back into charity, and 50% of the money goes to one of the participants. We've also got 100 Club sponsorship, which City Taxis, who are kind of our incubation charity, incubation business, where we're currently residing in their space at the moment, and they want to give the 100 Club a bit of a push. So they've talked about this 100 Club sponsorship. So they have now managed to get us 5 businesses. So one business now from August until the end of the year, where they pay £100. We advertise them 3 times in the month on our social media platforms, and then obviously they will get a mention in our recorded video at the end of the month, sponsored by whichever business is involved in. So I think that's going to be quite a popular thing, and it's quite an easy thing for businesses to get involved in. So they're the 2 things really that we're looking at the moment. I had loads of ideas to sort of raise awareness and how can businesses get involved, but I actually think that maybe the plan is to just focus on a couple at a time and get them really well, and then you know what you're doing, and then, you know, other things, coming back to a bit like Rome wasn't built in a day thing. You start small and then you can develop over time, but those seem to be really, really popular. We've got 71 tickets this month signed up to the 100 Club, so and it's only been going 3 months, so I think we're doing, that's pretty good, really. feel really pleased about that. So yeah, so they can get involved.
Excellent. Thank you. And I guess from a service user point of view, if people are listening or watching this and some of the stuff resonates with them, either on a personal experience or I've got a friend, a family member that you think they might be sort of struggling with, what would you say to them?
So two things: reach out and come forward. But I'm also going to contradict myself at the same time. We do have a waiting list of women that want to come through, but because we are a small charity, we need more funds. If we had more funds, we could help so many women. But at the moment, we're not advertising that we are not taking on more women, but women are coming through because they know we're there, and we are having to put them on a waiting list, which is really, really difficult. And we will get to them as quickly as we can. But obviously we can't discharge the mums that are on unless they're ready to do so. But we will, if they come forward, we will put them on this and we will get there. And the more exposure we can get as an organisation, the more of these sort of calls that we have, the more the organisations will realise that we need that help. With their help, we'll be able to support more women like you, more women out there like you. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else you want to add at all or say?
I don't know really. No, it's just thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been really great to be able to talk about all the different aspects of what we do and how we do it, and how I've managed it as a founder. And just thank you so much, Mark, for everything that you've done. And maybe we can attach our details to this. Shall I say what they are?
Yes, please do. Yeah.
So the website is www.mumsinneed.com, and the email to get in touch with us is inquiries@mumsinneed.com, and the phone number is 0800 852 7414 is the number to contact us. And or if it doesn't get picked up straight away, say because we have got a small team, if you leave a message, we will get back to you and call you back. So
great, thank you. And finally, is there anything you want to ask me at all? I always ask my guests that question, then pause nervously.
Yeah, so you help quite a lot of charities, and you've been in the charity sector yourself, haven't you, for some time, and that's because you want to give back? Why do you help so many charities?
Good question. Good. I guess ever since I was young, I suppose I've been into got involved in volunteering in a range of different things. Was grateful and still do kind of work part-time in a charity setting. So it's just in my blood, really, I suppose. I just I get a lot of job satisfaction from it. Recognizing that a lot of people just need a bit of a helping hand and don't know where to turn to. So a lot of the stuff I've done is frontline service delivery, a lot of like the stuff that you're saying, and then also do some governance stuff as a trustee, and helping people to develop that. But yeah, absolutely, it gives you a reason to get up, I suppose, rather than the same sort of corporate sales or whatever. I mean, all that's important as well, but it's actually really making an impact and making that difference. I think that's why I do it.
Yeah, that's it's really interesting, isn't it? Because you go through life, you're born and you go through life, and at the end you go, and you want to be able to say at the end of your days that you've done something fulfilling with your life, and that this is it, isn't it? What you're doing.
Hopefully. But yeah, great question. Lovely. Right, thank you, Laura, so much for your time. Keep up the great work, and I'm sure people are listening and watching. They might have their cogs ticking now in terms of how they might be able to help and support. And I guess for me, I would say whatever you can offer or help or introduce Laura or the charity to, or donate or give some time, just get in touch, because it is that sort of community. And as in your case, it's took one person to make a movement ultimately, and look how far you've come. So yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mark.